This video is not affiliated with the institutions. These are just our personal opinions. If you could go back, would you still choose your school and why?
Um,
Uh-oh, the game in trouble. Started out small, now they paying me double. Yeah, you can drip chip, baby, like mustard. Yeah.
Hey y'all, it's Jordan, and I'm here with my good friend Harold.
how you all doing? My name is Harold Bisbee. Me and Jordan went to UCLA together, and now I'm at a first year at Harvard Law School.
All right, so we are going to answer all your questions you have about the differences between Howard and Harvard. I'm really not too sure on how the comparison even got started, but I know it's like a thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how it got started. First is, how was your orientation, and did you feel prepared for your first day of law school?
Well, I think everything is different this year because it's online. I heard it's really dope in person, but this year it was kind of trash. It was like this big like cyber room. I was there for like 30 minutes. After a while, I was like, yeah, this ain't gonna be too helpful, so I left. But I did hear in real life it's really a dope experience just to meet all your classmates from around the world and stuff. But online it was kind of boo boo. I'm not gonna lie. Well, I prepared for my first day of class. Yeah, it was on Zoom. It was cool. I was in my house. So I was kind of relaxed. Like I didn't feel like I'm at law school feeling. I didn't really hit until finals but yeah, it was cool overall.
Yeah, I felt like orientation, it was okay. I mean, I feel like they did the best they could since it was
Mhm.
online. And yeah, I did. I mean, I felt fine for my first day. You don't really have to prepare too much for the first day, so I felt fine.
I would say like for your first day, talk to second year students who were in your section last year. Cause some teachers do cold call on your first day. So like I knew one teacher, he cold called on the first day. And if he called you, he's on you for the entire class. So like stuff like that you want to know. I didn't do the readings, but like you don't want to go in and not do the readings and you get called and you get called on for the whole day like that.
Yeah,
That could be a rough start to your law school career for sure.
for sure. Okay, so describe your typical day.
Pretty much I was in a West Coast section, even though my school's on the East Coast. And I moved to the East Coast because I didn't want to wake up at 7 a.m. for classes. So my earliest class was at 10. Most days I had
That's
two.
smart. Okay,
Yeah,
that's smart.
most days of classes I had 2 days a week. I had two classes a day, I'm sorry, and then some were three. By the third class, on most days, I'd be exhausted, so I'd be kind of like halfway there, halfway not there. For the most part, you're in class the majority of the day, and after that, they give you so many cases, you're pretty much reading all night. But I had two goals this year. One of my goals was just pass all my classes. Another goal was like I wasn't going to let law school consume me. So I probably didn't do every single reading that they wanted me to do, but I did enough to kind of get an understanding of what was going on.
That's good. Yeah, a typical day for me, I like did most of my readings on the weekends, so I wasn't
Mm.
necessarily reading during the week all the time, but sometimes for classes like contracts where like she would really cold call, I would have to like review, the Quimby real quick.
So you read for the whole week on the weekends?
Yeah.
That's smart. I tried to stay a day ahead. That lasted for like 2 weeks, and then it was like, yeah, it's not happening. So
I would
yeah,
just,
that's smart though.
yeah, it helps. I mean, a typical day is just me going to class. It's nothing I wasn't involved in anything really, so it was just
Mhm.
school and life.
Same. My first semester, I didn't do any clinics, any type of volunteer work, anything like that. I thought about it, but I didn't really know what to expect with law school, especially being on Zoom. So I didn't want to overfill my plate before I kind of knew what I was getting myself into. And your first semester of law school grades, I've heard, I still don't know, are supposed to be the most important. So I just want to focus on that.
Yeah, fingers crossed for us. Describe like the culture and like the relationship between you and your classmates, or the relationship between you and your professors.
Again, everything's on Zoom, so it's been a little different year than probably, hopefully, that you all experience next year whenever you all do decide to go to law school. But it's cool, like all law schools, probably besides Howard, is very white. So that's a huge plus for Howard. As far as the Black population, we're pretty close. The Black people in my section, we have like our own group chat, so we constantly in class talking. It helps keep me awake, and like we kind of just talk throughout the class to talk about the different cold calls, help each other with cold calls sometimes. But it's always been cool. I got to meet some of my section mates because they moved to the Cambridge area. But that's one thing for sure. Like Harvard is a huge school. Like our 1L class is like 500 deep. So our sections are about 70 deep. So pretty much everybody I know at the school so far are either older students, my section mates, or other Black students. But it's kind of hard to intermingle between all the sections in a virtual world. But hopefully y'all get to experience that.
So all the Black students have a group chat.
Yeah, we have it's kind of like the Black Growing Group Me. Yeah. So yeah, at UCLA, we also have like a big group me for every Black person at the school, similar for Harvard Law.
How is like the relationship between you and your professors?
Most of my professors are really cool. I had one professor who's very big into class action lawsuits. He was my civ pro teacher, so we learned a lot about class action. And he was also the head of the LGBTQ portion of the ACLU, so we did like a lot of work around that. Most of them are really just super cool old folks. They do a lot of good work in law.
Did they go to Harvard?
I think all of them did go to Harvard. I don't think about it. I don't remember, but one is cool. He a cool black dude named Professor Matt. I
Okay,
guess he
you
was
have
supposed
a
to.
black professor.
Yeah. Well, definitely. I think most of my section mates have at least one black professor, so they cool. They pretty humble. Like they don't really like try to brag and boast too much. I think they kind of just feel like, we speak for ourselves. And they're cool overall.
That's cool. Yeah, I would say our Howard culture is like, I don't know, everyone says hustle. Like everyone's like hustle,
Mm.
hustle. But I think one is just like the acronym Howard University.
Oh, okay,
It's
got
like
you.
hustle there. I don't know, but I don't really feel too much of like the culture because I'm just online, so I can't really
Mm.
speak too much about
I
it.
will say one thing for sure. I think we'll get to it probably later, but the way our grades are, it for sure plays into the culture for at least people like myself. It's always gonna be, no matter what law school you're at, like law kind of attracts a certain type of personality. Super A
Mhm.
type, super I'm
Yeah,
the smartest
super
person in the
type
room,
A.
super I'm gonna be the next president, Supreme Court justice. That's just what happened at law school. But I do think because of our grade system, if we don't have real grades, it allows people like me to kind of just, like I'm gonna be cool. Like, it's a huge privilege for sure. I
Yeah.
appreciate.
Okay. Yeah. But I think the relationship between me and my classmates, I think like the people that I talk to, like we're cool, and then
Mm.
my professors, they're also cool. Some went to Howard, some went to Harvard, but they all. I don't think any of my professors went to Howard though, except for like my
Really?
writing professor. Everyone went to like Harvard, Yale, or Northwestern. How do grades work? Slash, is there a curve? So
Oh, so this is the number one reason why I chose Harvard. So yeah, the biggest reason I chose Harvard is because of the grading system. So Harvard, Yale, and Stanford, they don't have like typical grades like A, B, C, D, F. It's more like a pass, no pass system. So I believe that Yale, your entire first year, just pass, no pass. Stanford is similar. I'm not for sure how it is for all 3 years, but at least at Harvard, you can get a low pass, a pass, a honors, or a dean's. There is a curve. I'm not sure exactly what that curve is. We all heard different rumors, but I believe like 80% of people pass, and then the rest are either going to honors, DS, which is dean's, or get a low pass. But even low pass, like some professors tell you very early on, like either I don't low pass or you got to turn some DS to low pass. One of my professors, he told us he had to get a low pass in like the last 5 years, and the only thing he did because on the final one kid wrote like 100 words. So it's like for his class, I'm like, bet I know I'm not gonna low pass.
yeah.
Um, some teachers they do. I think the max you can give is like 10 out of like 70 people in the class. So even then, it's still kind of hard. But most people don't give the 10 the max. So that's how kind of hard grading works. And it's a huge privilege for sure. Like even during the exams, when you feel like that pressure, that anxiety, it's like, man, at the very least, I'm a pass. And it's not fair, but like a pass at Harvard is equivalent to like a very high grade at other schools. And it's wrong, and it's elites, and et cetera, et cetera. But I'll take the privilege for now and fight for the cause later.
Yeah. You can fail at Howard. You can fail.
Oh,
And I think
and
someone has to fail everything. Someone has to fail because of the way the curve is
really,
set up. I think so. Yeah.
that's janky. You're trying to fail our black
It's
people. That ain't
terrible.
right.
Like it's like someone has to fail, and there's only a certain number of A's, like a really low number. I think
Mm-hmm,
I heard only 7 A's, um,
mm-hmm,
and that was like freaking me out. I mean, I'd heard about the curve before coming to the school, but honestly, being here makes it more real. It's definitely
mm-hmm,
stressful because like Howard isn't, a Harvard, so it's not like the top schools. So it's like I kind of feel like you gotta have good grades. I can't just be out here
mm-hmm,
getting a pass and expect the same thing as Harold's pass.
mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I kind of feel like I need some sort of motivation. Like Harold is very lax. He be seeing me stressed out, and I'm like, he's just like, oh, why are you? Don't worry about it. Like, yeah.
But again, right? Like, I think naturally I'm already like a very like nonchalant person, but like I will agree to what Jordan said. Not having grades or like typical grades, it's kind of hard to stay motivated. Like the class where the teacher told me like we're not giving LPs, I'm like, bro, like what? Like I'm not coming. Like I still came, you know what I'm saying? But like I for sure wasn't as like diligent taking notes and stuff like that. It's just hard without that motivation.
Yeah.
And then even like with the LPs, like that's kind of like our version of failing. But even then, like I met a 2L who got I think he had an LP. He still had like a firm offer in the summer, and he split his summer between the firm and the clerkship. So even like an LP isn't the end of the world. One thing I will say at a school like Harvard, again, like it attracts a certain type of personality. Like grades are part of their identity. So you never really know how many LPs are really giving out because how many people at Harvard ever got a grade like that before? So they probably don't want to talk about it. If I get an LP, I'll update y'all, let y'all know. Hopefully I didn't though. You
Yeah,
feel me?
people
But
don't really talk about grades. I don't think people talk about grades that much.
yeah, people be so to the chest because it's like if you're in law school, that means you probably had majority good grades throughout your life. So it's kind of like a touchy subject. But I don't mind. I had S before, so I could talk about some bad grades. It's cool.
But yeah, the Howard curve is brutal. but I don't know what to say. I think it would be better if it wasn't a curve. If it was just like, how it was at UCLA. Like you just get the grade you get, not like, all right, who got it the best? Like, no, like have a proper rubric and just do it that way.
I think a common theme that's going to keep popping up throughout this conversation is just like they have to do that to keep the elitism going. Like we want to be as elite, as elite, as elite. So we're gonna have a curve to make sure our elitist students get. You know what I'm saying? It's just that's all it's about. It's about a brand name. It's about the elitism, and it's about the ranking. That's all they really care about.
The next question is, how do students engage with civil rights and racial justice at both schools?
So Harvard is a
Curious
very,
about this.
huh?
I'm curious what you're gonna say.
Yeah. So again, I haven't been involved too much with it being virtual and stuff, just precursor. But overall, I mean, Harvard is kind of what you expect it to be. Very neo-white liberalism. There's always going to be those conservative people in those classrooms at most law schools. At Harvard, they're kind of like undercover. Like nobody in my class, I could just tell you like, oh, that person right there for sure, like a hardcore conservative. But you kind of get the little hints, or like the stuff they say in class. But I do think that at a school like Harvard, like kids are really careful about their brand because a lot of them do want to get in politics one day or want to be judged and stuff like that. So like every classroom or every interaction feels like a formal interview kind of, and it's just very different for me because like I really don't care if people think about me that much. So it's like I'll become very nonchalant, and it's like a very like professional everything. We be having like a study session. And it's like super professional. Like, hey, like hope all has been well with you, and it sounds like an email, kind of thing. So I get that vibe sometimes. Like people are just so particular about their brand, and I get it because law is very uptight and very like very. It's a very conservative field, So I think that comes with the territory. But I for sure feel that though. It's kind of hard to really know when you're actually meeting a person instead of just a law student.
Yeah, I mean, I think Howard, we're like a social justice school. Like our mission is like to create social engineers. So it's definitely like embedded in everything we do. Like most of our cases have to do with stuff that like hints at or is in the subject of civil rights, which to me makes it a bit more interesting because some of these cases can just be so boring. And so it's a bit more interesting when you can, talk about like affirmative action when you're learning something like civil procedure that can be boring, or you can talk about like current stuff in the Trump administration when we're learning leg rag, or so stuff like that. It makes it a bit more interesting. I think students engage in it. I think overall it's kind of homogenous, like what people think about civil rights. Like, I feel like you wouldn't come to Howard if you weren't passionate about civil rights.
I would say that my experience as far as like the classroom content varies by my teacher. I remember I was at the beginning of like battery and assault during the Breonna Taylor decision, and that wasn't mentioned in class at all.
Okay.
While like in my other classes where the guy worked for the ACLU, like he was always touching on race a lot in almost every case, race or gender. Like it's a lot of context that go behind these cases. Like you'll read the decision and be like, I wonder what that was. And you find like the plaintiff was black, and it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I see why it went that way. But some classes they won't mention that. So you'll read a case and be like, oh, that was a weird decision. You gotta go Google like, what was this person black? And they'd be like, oh, sure enough, person was black or something like that. So it really varies by your professor, I think, too.
Honestly, same at Howard too. Like I've heard some professors are very much just plain law, like they don't get into anything else. But my first year, it was pretty well rounded, and during all that stuff, one professor, she was really good about asking us like, oh, do you all feel like learning today? Crazy enough, every person, not every person, but the majority of the class was like, yeah, we can learn. I'm like, dang, y'all don't want to break? Like she's literally asking us basically low key, do we want to have class? And everyone is begging for class. So
it goes back to that interview thing. Like it's a curve, so I'm gonna say yes. So the teacher like, oh, I remember Harold said yes. So I'm it's like a formal interview at all times. I feel like.
Yeah, I was ready for class to be canceled.
Everybody tell me that I'm gonna log off instantly.
Really? Did we talk about what are common misconceptions about your schools? No.
So one thing that is surprising about Harvard, this is my favorite fun fact. Harvard actually has the biggest Black population of law students outside of Howard, surprisingly.
Wow.
Yeah, we're about 10%, and it's a super big school. So like, I think my class is about 50 deep Black. So that's a surprising fact. So we have like, besides Howard and other HBUs, I'm sure, we have like the biggest Black population, the biggest Black network, the most Black alumni. I'm assuming the most Black faculty. That's a big assumption, actually. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, that's my favorite fun fact. So I think when you think about Harvard, you don't think about Black students. I didn't, at least. Like I hear Harvard, I think about like 1600s, old, very wealthy, rich white people.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's that, don't get me wrong, but there are Black students at Harvard that kind of caught me off guard. That also played a big decision into my role as far as like, out of the T14, like Harvard is super, super more Black than the rest of them. So that helped my decision as well.
I don't know, like a misconception about Howard though. Like, like something people say.
I don't really hear misconceptions about schools. Like the Harvard one, that was just my personal misconception.
I know some people, like my friends have been asking, like, have I actually been learning? Like, they're like, Jordan, like, do you really feel like you're learning a lot? Because you know, all the TikToks and like memes, like people learning this stuff online, like when they get to the actually rather not.
Yeah.
I actually feel like I'm learning. Like, you know, I feel like I know a little something. Like, definitely nothing compared to like what I'll eventually know, but I mean, I've been learning. I guess like a misconception, like Howard is not 100% Black. I don't know if that's.
Oh yeah. When I found out that HBCUs were like not very diverse, but like having the numbers, especially the grad programs, it was kind of like, wow, like that's crazy. Like you can't have nothing.
There was a tweet. It was like he went to an HBCU. I'm not sure which one it was.
I seen that. He was the only Black male.
Only Black person.
Yeah,
So
that's crazy.
That's a misconception that Howard is like 100% Black. No, we're not 100% Black, and we have other minorities as well, not just Black people. But
so I got a question: do the minorities have like, well, do the non-Black students have like their own? What's
like
the word?
Group?
Yeah, affinity groups. Like, is there like a white affinity group?
I mean, I personally would not know. Like, I'm not.
I don't think that's a good idea. That's gonna come on. Ain't gonna come off the right way.
Do, but I feel like they can't just be out here saying white club. You know, like.
Yeah. So what about the other? What about the other minorities? Maybe it's a little easier for them. Is there like a La Raza, stuff like that?
Harold, I don't know. And I also didn't think there would be like affinity groups like that at Howard either. I guess like we have a Bolsa, and I was like, why do we need a
Yeah, I wouldn't think that either, but I guess it makes sense just to be part of the Bolsa network in general. And Bolsa is the Black Law Student Association, what it's called. Yeah. So what are the demographics like? How what's percent of Black percent? If you don't know, just Google it later and throw it in a little thing. You YouTubers be doing that stuff.
Yeah, I think it's like 80-something% Black.
Okay. That'd be cool to have a breakdown of that somewhere over here. That'd be cool. Okay.
All right, next question. Can you discuss imposter syndrome at both institutions?
Imposter syndrome is like, again, I don't experience that much because I met this Black lady at UCLA. I cannot remember her name. I hate to say it. But she just really, we had a conversation one day and she was just like, you have to walk around with the audacity of a mediocre white man. And when she said that, it changed my life because like, if you look at spaces that you're in, or even just like go look at your local politicians or whatever, like a lot of them are mediocre white men, and their counterparts who are either women or like of a minority group, they always have to be like super extravagantly better. You know what I'm saying? So if I walk around with the audacity of a mediocre white man, I know I deserve to be at Harvard because I started off at community college and y'all still let me catch up to y'all. You know what I'm saying? So I feel more than comfortable in my classroom. I think the only time I felt imposter syndrome there is maybe during finals, because I was like, I didn't read every single case. So like I was like, dang, like so many people read every single case. So like, what if I come in and don't know enough? So it was like on my first exam, I got like a little imposter syndrome. Like, dang, that's what I get for not reading. I was messing up a little bit, but that was the only time for real though. I think if you just walk around with the audacity of a mediocre white man and feel like and know that you deserve to be where you're supposed to be at, and you're overqualified most likely, then you'll be fine.
Yeah, I haven't felt this much imposter syndrome in a minute. Like I think because of like my age, like I just felt super young and like in over my head. Like I've never had like a real job before. And so when you're in class and the professor is asking you like, what would you tell your client? I'm over here like, oh my God, like I'm gonna have a client. like I'm gonna have to give someone advice. So that kind of freaked me out. But I mean, I kind of just tell myself that I'm not the only person like going through this, so I can't be like an imposter. And it's just like there was a tweet or something that was like, overthinking is like you can be your worst critic sometimes, and it's usually not even that bad. So it exists, at least. And for me, I had imposter syndrome, but you kind of don't even have time to be thinking about stuff like that. Quite frankly, you've always got other stuff to do.
But I do think law school is the perfect place to breed imposter syndrome because, like, not only is it super dense, hard material, but it's like, again, everybody is putting on their best, perfect self, and it's a curve. So it's like, if I don't know nothing, I'm not gonna let you know that. So you're thinking like, oh, I'm the only one who knows this.
Online, so you really don't know much. You really don't know.
And then like it's kind of hard to, well, for most people, I don't mind as much, but it's kind of hard to like raise your hand and tell teacher like, yeah, I don't know this in front of 70 people who you think you're the only one who don't know this, when really nobody does. We're all learning this stuff. I probably know about this much about property law. I took a whole semester of it, so it's like nobody knows. That's okay. You're not going to know until finals probably. So you got to just be okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, I still felt comfortable asking questions because I just didn't really care about that. But like, I think it's normal to, especially at a new school and at grad school, it's normal to feel like, a little nervous. How easy or difficult is it to get involved in moot court / journal? I really don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I feel bad. Yeah, I wasn't involved in moot court at
I don't think
all.
do they do that
Journals.
for fall semester? Can you do it?
I'm not for sure. I know you can do the journal very early, but this is what I've heard. I don't know anything about journal, but I think that to kind of get on journal at the first year, you kind of go in and you start to be like I forgot the word is, but you basically just edit you go through their draft and just help blue book everything. I forgot what the word is, but I didn't do that personally. I don't think I want to do journal. I don't think I want to do moot court. So I'm probably the person to ask for that.
Yeah, I don't know anything. I'm not really involved in anything. Not really. I'm just not involved in anything right now.
Do you want to do moot court or
I need to research a bit more, like what the heck it even is.
It looked dope though, but it's like a whole other job because you really have to research these cases. But I went to go watch a moot court one day. It was cool to see, but like I don't think it's for me though personally.
Yeah, I'll have to just research a bit more. Final question before we go into elitism is: if you could go back, would you still choose your school and why?
Yeah, I for sure. I think I made the right choice. So I kind of ranked my schools based on like in different groups. So like Harvard, Yale, and Stanford were one bubble. I was like, if I get in those three, I go to Harvard. Then if I get into like NYU, Columbia, Chicago, I pick one of those schools, and then I got in this school. So Harvard was my top choice overall. I think I made the right choice. It's very black compared besides the other the HBCUs. The brand name has already been paying off, helping me get some scholarships and things like that. It's less pressure on me because the grades. It's a very big class. So like, say me and Jordan went to the same school and I hated her, I could avoid her if I wanted to. Some law schools are very small, and it's like if I hated Jordan, but we're still like 2 out of 10 black people, I kind of got to make it work because only 10 of us. That's a big reason why I chose Harvard as well. I think I made the right choice though, for sure. I'm continuing my decision. It's really cold out there. I don't like that, but overall it's cool.
That's good. Yeah, I agree. I think I made the right choice. I wanted to be in DC and I wanted to go to an HBCU, and I got both of those. It is a smaller school than UCLA, so that was a transition because Harold and I are used to like our class was like 8 to 10,000 for each, But yeah, I'm used to going to a much bigger school, so it was an adjustment. But honestly, because it's online, I don't really feel like 100% there. So it's hard to even speak on the school because I just feel like I don't really know too much. Even though, yeah, I've gone for like a semester, it does kind of feel like fake because it's online. So it's like, am I really going there?
What was your second choice school, and what helped you pick Harvard over that school? I mean, Howard over that school.
I wanted to go to Howard. I only applied to law schools in DC, so it was probably going to be like American, but for the sole fact of location, nothing more than that. But no, I decided early on that I keep saying Howard, that Harvard wasn't like the school for me. But everyone is different, so. Okay, so now we're gonna just talk about like elitism within law school, and to make sure that people understand that like just because you go to one school, it doesn't mean that you are better than someone else, or even just because you go to law school, it doesn't mean you're better than other people.
I just really want to speak on this because like academics literally it breeds elitism. You could feel it by like your school ranking, or even like at your like you're gonna be a law student, right? At your law school, you're gonna feel law students look down on other graduate programs. Like like, oh, we're law students and they're getting their master's in education or whatever it may be. Like, like you could sense that. Like, like, oh, they think they're busy. We're a law student busy. Yeah, we all perpetuate like elitism. That's kind of why you're watching a Harvard and Howard video, because you want to go to the schools because the brand name, things like that. And it's one thing to perpetuate it, but it's nothing to really start to believe it. I think it's important to acknowledge it. Like, law school is very elitist. Law firms are very elitist. The legal industry is very elitist. It's all about rankings and brand names, stuff like that. But that's one thing. But to actually believe it, like, oh, I'm better than them because I go to this school. My school's ranked higher. Like, not only are you playing yourself, but you're just gonna be an asshole and nobody wants to be around you. So it's like, and it's fake. Like, law school admissions are so subjective. I got into Harvard, but got waitlisted at school I thought were my safety schools. So it's like, it's so weird, like the LSAT is the fakest test ever. Terrible fake test. It had nothing to do with law school at all. And that's the biggest indicator of probably what school you're gonna go to. So that's fake.
Yeah.
Your undergrad GPA, it's like that varies by major, what school you went to, all that stuff. So it's just also subjective. Like I don't know anything more than anybody else at any other school as far as like the basic 1L classes. So just don't buy into elitism too much because you're gonna be playing yourself.
The major differences are, of course, HBCU and predominantly white, and then you have like your past grades, and we have, you know, it's possible to fail here.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. The grade thing, I love that one though. I ain't gonna
That's
lie. I'm not-
solid. Yeah, that's
It
great.
helps a lot. It helps a lot. It helps a
I'm
lot.
sure it
Just
does. But
yeah, the other law students I know at other schools, like no matter what school you're at, you're gonna be super stressed out. But I'd be like, man, like they stress. I'd be kind of chilling.
yeah.
So, yeah, if you can get to school with no grades, like help that be a big part of your factor because you're gonna be stressed regardless, but it's not gonna be as stressful as like a regular school with grades. That's the only advice I'm really gonna give.
Okay, y'all. Well, Harold, do you want me to link your Instagram down below if people have questions?
It's cool, you got it. It's cool.
Okay, so yeah, feel free to hit up Harold if you have any questions about Harvard, and you know, y'all can always, or just honestly comment them down below. But thank you all so much for watching. You know, maybe at like our end of 3L, we should do like a recap.
A recap.
You can do a recap, like if we have jobs or whatever.
Like update, we both failed out.
No. Only good news. Only good news. All right, I'm about to stop recording.
Uh-oh, the game in trouble. Started out small, now they paying me double. Yeah, you can drip check, baby, like mustard. Yeah.